journalism today seems rather disconnected from the journalism of your age, in part because of Google.
Yeah.
And the fact that you would now spend so much time sitting at your desk using the computer, whereas you'd have to go out and actually cultivate sources and dig for stories.
Yeah, it's the biggest single change. I mean, I sort of chuckle to myself, you know, I'm one of the world's oldest graduate students, and I sit in classrooms with people and hear professors, learned professors, describe, you know, the golden era of journalism. And it happens to coincide with when I worked in it. I have to tell you, it didn't seem that golden at the time. It seemed something just shy of indentured service. But the one thing that was a fact is that we did cover the news. If you were a correspondent, you know, somewhere, Washington, Ottawa, wherever, you were on the road all of the time. And I can actually give you a stat to back up that assertion, because a friend of mine actually did the research. In 1979, 1980, we had 2 federal elections and a referendum campaign in this country. And a friend of mine calculated that he and I were on the road 39 of the 52 weeks that year. So officially I worked in Ottawa. Functionally, that's just where I got kind of my shirts done and, you know, cleaned up and scrubbed up a bit and then back out, right? And the great gift of that, and the thing I've been always intensely grateful for, is that you really get to know about the country. Mm-hmm. And not in a kind of, I don't just mean in a campaign stop, airport rally, surfacey way. I mean, you know, on the ground, talking to people, you know, the realities of life. And you come, one, to appreciate the distinctions that we have in this country, how things really are different. And the other is you come to appreciate the things in common. I mean, to joke for a bit, you know, I remember the first time I was covering a provincial election one time in Nova Scotia, and I was in Sydney, Nova Scotia, up in Cape Breton, where, you know, politics in those days up there was, you know, pretty much a blood sport. And so I was doing interviews, streeters, and I ended up in the Legion Hall, having a sarsaparilla or two with some of the members, and they were all minors, right? And I started to laugh, and I thought, if I had a beam me up Scotty machine, and I dropped these guys into the Legion in Timmins, they'd be there 2 weeks before they figured out they weren't at home, because they, you know, all the realities of the mining world, and, you know, conversations about big issues, except they maybe didn't identify them in that, but, you know, environment, worker safety, worker health. These were absolutely points of common, whether you were in Cape Breton or whether you were in